Have you ever wondered why belly fat seems to stick around, no matter how much you diet, walk, or even do crunches? You're not alone. And if you're over 40, you've probably noticed it gets even harder, almost as if your body is working against you. But what if I told you that most of what you've heard about losing belly fat is either incomplete or flat out wrong? Today, I'm going to reveal the real, science-backed steps that anyone, yes, anyone, can use to finally lose belly fat and keep it off, with strategies that work even if your metabolism has slowed down or you feel like you've tried everything. And no, it doesn't involve endless cardio, magic pills, or giving up everything you love. Ready to discover what actually works? Let's get started. When people talk about belly fat, they usually think about that pinchable layer covering your abs, the stuff you see in the mirror. But did you know there's a deeper, more dangerous type of fat that you can't see? It's called visceral fat, and it wraps around your organs like an invisible thread, raising your risk of high blood pressure, diabetes, liver problems, and even heart disease. In fact, for adults in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, visceral fat is often the biggest risk factor you never hear about. Here's the twist. While subcutaneous fat, the kind just under your skin, is frustrating, it's visceral fat that's most tightly linked to the health issues everyone wants to avoid as they age. And yet, most popular diets and workouts ignore it completely. So, what does science actually say about getting rid of both types of belly fat? Let's break down what really works, and why so many traditional approaches fail. But before we get to the first real solution, here's a quick question. Did you know that you can actually reduce visceral fat without losing a single pound on the scale? Surprised? Just wait until you hear how. Most people, when they decide to tackle belly fat, start with sit-ups, crunches, or hours on the treadmill. But here's the scientific truth. Targeted exercises won't melt belly fat in the area you want. You can do all the crunches in the world, but you won't spot reduce the fat covering your abs. That's not how your body works. But here's what might surprise you. Exercise does matter, but not in the way you think. Recent studies show that the right kind of exercise can shrink that dangerous visceral fat, even if your weight doesn't change. So, what works best? First, focus on building a simple, sustainable exercise routine. Resistance training, yes, lifting weights, even light ones, is proven to help preserve muscle as you lose fat. This is crucial for adults over 40, since muscle loss accelerates as we age and makes fat loss harder. Second, add in regular movement throughout the day. Not just formal workouts, but all the little things. Walking to the store, taking the stairs, gardening, even standing up during phone calls. These activities, known as non-exercise activity thermogenesis, play a massive role in how many calories you burn each day, and they naturally decline as we age, unless we're intentional about them. And yes, cardio has its place, especially for heart health, but it's not required for belly fat loss. Think of cardio as a bonus, not the main event. But if exercise alone isn't the key, what is? Get ready for the real game changer, and it's probably simpler than you think. Let's bust another myth. To lose belly fat, you don't need to give up all your favorite foods or survive on salads and grilled chicken. In fact, research shows the most important factor in losing belly fat is consistency in a slight calorie deficit, not cutting out entire food groups or suffering through fad diets. Here's what top nutrition scientists recommend. Know your baseline. Start by roughly tracking how many calories you eat in a normal day. Create a small deficit. Use a simple calculator to figure out your maintenance calories, then aim to eat just a little less. Build your diet around your 20 favorite foods from all the food groups. Yes, really. If you enjoy what you eat, you're more likely to stick with it long term, which is the secret to permanent results. But, and this is crucial, make sure most of those favorite foods are healthy choices. Proteins, vegetables, fruits, healthy fats, dairy, and whole grains. And then allow yourself 2 YOLO foods, like a dessert or glass of wine, so you never feel deprived. What about protein? It's essential, not just for muscle, but for making you feel full and preserving metabolism as you lose weight. The guideline: aim for at least 0.7 grams of protein per pound of your body weight each day. That's not as hard as it sounds. Greek yogurt, beans, fish, eggs, chicken, even tofu can all help you reach your target. Here's a question. Do some foods cause belly fat, while others prevent it? Surprisingly, it's not so much about good or bad foods. But research does show that diets high in saturated fat, like certain processed meats or fried foods, are more likely to increase visceral fat than diets rich in polyunsaturated fats. Think nuts, olive oil, fatty fish. So, simple swaps, olive oil instead of butter, salmon instead of processed meats, really can make a difference for your belly and your long-term health. But there's a missing piece almost everyone forgets, and it might be the reason your progress stalls, even if you're doing everything else right. What if I told you the number one reason people over 40 struggle to lose belly fat isn't their diet or their exercise routine, but something much more basic: sleep? Groundbreaking studies reveal that adults who consistently get less than 7 hours of quality sleep end up storing more fat in their belly, even if they eat the same number of calories. Poor sleep increases cravings for high-calorie foods, messes with your hunger hormones, and leads to more fat stored around your organs. One study put healthy adults in a sleep lab. One group slept just 4 hours a night, the other 9 hours. The result? The sleep-deprived group gained twice as much belly fat, even though both groups ate similar foods. And it gets worse. Poor sleep causes your body to lose more muscle instead of fat when you diet, making you feel weaker and slowing your metabolism. The good news: prioritizing 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep isn't just a luxury, it's a proven fat loss strategy, especially for the stubborn belly fat most adults struggle with. Still, there's one last step that makes all the difference between giving up and finally seeing results. But most people quit right before the breakthrough. Don't let that be you. If this insight about sleep and belly fat surprised you, imagine how much more you'll discover if you stick around. And if you're finding value so far, consider subscribing, because the next chapters are where the real transformation begins. Let's be honest, losing belly fat can feel painfully slow, especially as you get older. You might see progress everywhere else, your face, arms, legs, but the belly is always the last to change. That's not your fault, it's just biology. For most people, stubborn belly fat is the final area to go, no matter how disciplined you are. Here's where most people go wrong. They get impatient, slash calories too much, or ramp up exercise until it's unsustainable. This almost always leads to burnout, quitting, and regaining the weight. The real secret? Consistency over intensity. Celebrate every small win: looser clothes, better energy, less bloating, even if the scale isn't moving as fast as you want. Measure progress in multiple ways. Take waist measurements, notice how your clothes fit, pay attention to your mood and sleep. And most importantly, stay the course. Remember, your belly fat didn't appear overnight, and it won't vanish in a few weeks. But with the right plan, patience, and a focus on health rather than just looks, it will happen. Now you have all the tools science can offer. But your next step will make the difference between knowing and changing. Now that you know the real, science-backed strategies for losing belly fat, especially after 40, don't stop here. Your next step? Watch this video on how to build an exercise routine for busy adults, where I show you how to put these principles into action no matter your schedule or fitness level. Because losing belly fat isn't just about looking better, it's about living better, longer, and with more energy for what matters most. Remember, the journey is yours, but you're never alone. Keep learning, keep moving, and I'll see you in the next video.